Well, good morning, everybody. It's still early and people are out at work, but I'm going to get this done today because I have a lot going on today. It's the third day, third video. We're going to do a video every day highlighting current events to colonialism and tie it back to residential school genocide. Today is day 3, video 3. We're going to look at the Caribbean islands as they're in big news. There's lots of news with Liberal NDP coalition signed on for till 2025. How does that relate to the 1876 Indian Act, tying back to residential school genocide? These maneuvers, we highlight UCP right now. I have a lot of people from the province of Alberta coming to me all about it costs so much now to vote for the future of the province in the majority government. It costs so much that regular folks aren't able to afford to vote. You have to come up with more than $100 for the April 9th vote. Well, folks, the Liberal NDP coalition you're seeing in Canada today, the province of Alberta, the UCP, massive money grab for democracy, meaning pay for democracy, is all class structure and has already been done by the exact same parties in Canada that are in Barbados. This has all been played out all before. It's all crafted in the Commonwealth. We see it all over. Did you all know, huge fact, that upon the ratification of the 1876 Indian Act of Canada, placed on all the treaty Indians and designing treaty Indian land, giving only 0.2% of Canada to the First Peoples? 0.2%. That's all they have. That's all they have. Just like Barbados, Jamaica, and many of the Caribbean islands. You can go through them all. This system was done before. And when Canada did 1876, the New Democrat Party, the Conservative, the Liberals, all the same parties, all in the Commonwealth, all crafted the same schemes for class democracy, meaning to make sure the poor can't vote or have a say, we're going to come up with a system of how much you have to pay to be able to vote for change. Because we don't want the third, second class voting. We only want the first class politicians. Those are the only ones and their circle of friends who get to vote. Pay the politician, get democracy. This has been a staple of all colonial governments across all isles. Slavery that led to the sugarcane industry in the islands all formulated this, all continued this, all perpetuated all the designs you have today. Those islands in 1876 were proposed to join Confederation of Canada. Did you all know that? 1876, you can go look it up. You'll find that Jamaica, it was proposed. All of the Caribbean islands of the British Empire were proposed to join Canadian Confederation in 1876 upon the ratification of the Indian Act. We've subjugated the savages, just like we've subjugated all the slaves. They even created a new Democrat Party. New Democrats, folks. NDP. We see this right in South Africa too. Okay, no more savage slavery, none of that. We're going to have a third class, you know. You work real hard, we'll start food programs, we'll have Medicare, but you're going to have energy poverty, food scarcity, because you're only allowed to plant the crops that generate the wealth for the first class. You can't even grow a staple agriculture. Did you know they're fighting for this today? The royal family just gets thrown out of their ass. Jamaica says, get the fuck out of here. Queen Elizabeth tries to send her son and his wife to go tour Jamaica. Let's do a little reggae. The Jamaicans say, get the fuck out of here. Energy poverty, food scarcity, the list goes on and on. We can go through enfranchisement. Ooh, all First Peoples know what that is. Canadians, if you don't know, the process of marriage and losing your Indian status. Oh, wasn't done here in Canada first, I can tell you that. It's a staple policy of the British Commonwealth, alive and well today. In fact, those islands, those Caribbean islands, are fighting the same system. They're looking at agricultural disenfranchisement. What? Meaning being able to grow what you want. Sound familiar, Treaty Indians? 1876, on the path of residential school genocide. Agricultural genocide. What do we need as human beings? Are you a human being? Because you need food, clothing, shelter, and energy. Contrary to what popular belief, you need energy. Even if it means lighting a fire to keep warm, you will not survive without energy. Agricultural disenfranchisement, that's what they're working on today, right now, and why they threw the royal family's ass out of Jamaica. They don't want them there. All the parliamentarians voted, get lost. They're trying desperately hard just to get seed outside of sugarcane so that people can eat, so you have food independence. Can you believe that? That a dirty, filthy royal family in the Commonwealth with the 2012 Commonwealth Charter, the royal family makes it so, and since forever and a day, that food scarcity will be the way to control the masses, starve them out. The American Indian colonized all of the islands. They're the first on all the islands. They don't exist today. What happened to them? I would love to go through it. I was talking to Tina. She knows the score, but I'm of the wrong color pigment to be able to give that education in its entirety. I do that, I'm likely to be thrown off Facebook. But the reality, maybe one day, my works and the reality of truth will come forward as all of these things overlap. To put it in context, why I get into the Liberal NDP coalition happening here in Canada, this was done in Barbados, Jamaica, many of the Caribbean islands a very long time ago. UCP, the Wild Rose PC merger, there are really only two parties of the Crown that govern, that have always had the federal power. This goes throughout the Commonwealth. There have been a few attempts of the NDP, sometimes called the Labour Party. There was Barbados Labour Party. They all do this. It's a way to control the masses, the third class. Give them little carrots. Here's a little lunch program, a little bit of pharmacare. Oh, here's some dental. Oh, but you're all paying for your labor. Your labor, so you don't own nothing. You work the sugar plantation and you shut up. The big boys who have all your money off your hard-earned labor will decide all the voting rights for all of you inside the parties. That's what they do. They're doing it here in Canada. UCP is a primary example. Give us $110 each couple, so $220 for a couple. If you're wealthy, maybe you can bring your kids. It'll be a fun weekend of $1,000 or more to vote for your future. Because they don't want everyday working Joe Jane to go. They don't. It's always those loyal to the Crown class. This has always been and always will be. I'd like to say a word. It starts with an N. That's what every Canadian is, and even less than that third-class Canadian, that N-word that was perpetuated in Barbados and Jamaica and many other Caribbean islands. In the same system, they're imposing on all of you Canadians today. Liberals, NDP, Conservatives, any splinter cells. You see it in Alberta, you see it in NDP. I can tell you all those boards, you go to any Liberal Party board insiders, whether it's federal or you pick a province. I've been to many of them. I've taken many regular Joe Jane Canadians along for the ride with me just to show them what it's really all about. You won't find anybody under doctor status with the Liberal Party. They're all wealthy multimillionaires, many of which don't even have a traditional Canadian accent, whether that being French or Atlantic or out west, like my accent. You won't find any of those kind of folks. You'll find a boatload of foreigners, first-time Canadians, secondary usually the UK. That's who runs the country, because that's what's in your constitution. There are 54 nations throughout the world like this. Britain knows all about the Caribbean islands. There are no more North American Indians left there. And if they are, their complexion has changed considerably. Again, I would love to go into how all that happened, but I don't wear the right skin pigment to go through the detailed presentation. It would be Facebook suicide if I did that. The truth is always worse than what were propagated in our narratives of history. A lot of Canadians don't do this. You can look it up. You will find out everything I say is true. It will take you all the way to South Africa, where the New Democrat Party, the Labour Party, the Liberals and the Conservatives were brought to UNSCP 5 justice. They were brought to justice. We watched South Africa go down. Barbados is on its way, trying to get there. Will they be released from the Commonwealth? It's up to Susan. She went for Governor General. She transformed that island state. She went on to become president now of a republic. They still remain in the Commonwealth. Will that be seen? But from what I understand, it's all about agricultural disenfranchisement, meaning letting black regular folks, the third class, the black third class of Barbados, be able to grow what they want. Sound familiar, Treaty Indians? Does that sound familiar, Canadians? Because your supply and value chains are deeply controlled. Are you allowed to plant what you want? Will you see any kind of return on your investment? Does the nation have food security? Canadians are often blinded by the fact that you can build monumentous things. Ukrainians of old built monumentous things. But those Ukrainians are not the Zelensky Ukrainians today. Not the same people, not at all. No longer the same governing systems. Complete history transformations in a short amount of time. Yesterday, Zelensky goes in front of the Israeli government pleading, calling Putin as bad as what Nazi Germany did to the Jews. Unfortunately for Zelensky, there is not an Israeli Jew who doesn't know the entirety, truth, in real history. Because unlike the Commonwealth, Israel's got the entire history educated to their people. Poor old Zelensky and his Hollywood narrative fell flat. And now Israel isn't happy at all. Nobody likes rewriting history and lying about it. Never mind trying to equate yourself to a Holocaust that you perpetuated in. People have said, but Zelensky's Jewish. A liar is a liar, just as I know there are many first people loyal to the crown who get in bed with the crown and would sell their own people down the river in full genocide. Does that make them equivalent or much worse than the Crown itself? I would say worse, but I mean, it's all bad. It's all bad. It's a broken system we have to get out of. Canadians, learn the truth. Go explore what I've presented here today. Look at agricultural disenfranchisement. Look at your history of enfranchisement. Look at the First Peoples. Look at the NDP Liberal coalition in those countries. Look at the Conservative coalition of Liberals in that country. And you're going to find that everything done to them overlaps everything done to you because they're all Commonwealth countries. It was done there first. And in harsher situation because it was over slavery. A little bit under third class. Now they are the black third class going through and revolting against the first class. They're getting rid of the Commonwealth, I hope. We'll see what Susan does. They're out of constitutional monarchy. They're into a presidential republic. We're waiting patiently on the Constitution. Jamaica's going to follow suit. When will Canada follow suit? Why do you believe that this system works? Why is only 0.2% of Canada available to the First Peoples? Why is less than 9.5% available to all Canadians? You have less than 10% of the country in your hands. The rest belongs to whoever you elect God over you. That's the Crown. An illegal system that USA, Russia, and China made sure to cement as to be abolished in the UN Charter of 1945. But now we have a 2012 Commonwealth Charter. We have a United Kingdom and Commonwealth-led initiative to breach the Minsk agreements over Ukraine and Russia, to impose a unitary state in Ukraine, meaning get rid of all federalism, everything that is not America, that is not the Russian Federation. They want that abolished because it's better that Ukraine remains unitary and you have a central government, centralized government. Hey, wait a minute. Doesn't that sound like communism? No, folks, it's even worse than communism. It's Crown. It's a Crown colonial design, a staple of Europe. Most of the nations of Europe have always been in that system, whether imperial, emperor, or monarchical, kings and queens. You can call it a presidential system, but if you have a central state with zero regionalism, and you say, hey, listen, we don't give two shits about your language, your custom, your cultures, your entire 1,000-year history. Doesn't matter how much the population speaks a set language. We're going to impose this language, this government on all of you. It's a great idea. I don't know how a President Joe Biden administration do this. I don't know why Democrats do this. Oh, unless they got deep-seated ties to money. Money, just like the sugarcane plantations of Barbados and Jamaica, where they create food scarcity because they don't allow local growers to grow the food that can support the population. That way the population is slave to the ruling class who negotiates with those who oppress you to give you food because you're not allowed to grow it. Energy is another one. The whole Green New Deal. I can tell you till 2025, everybody, a coalition or not, doesn't matter. Can you imagine if it became the United Liberal Party of Canada and NDP and Liberal officially joined as a party? That could happen too. It's been done, folks. These Commonwealth experiments are not new. The lack of democracy is not new. The pay for your vote, you pay for your democracy, is what they always do to all the N-word receivers, the third-class people. They call blacks the N-word, and they use that in gross racism, but they've been doing this to Everybody deemed third class throughout the Commonwealth forever and a day. Go look it up. Confederacy, 1876. After the monumental success of the Indian Act, they thought they could bamboozle all the Caribbeans into Canada's system. They were going to put the Indian Act on them too, had they voted for it. And people had to pay, just like today. You had to pay for your membership. All the wages in the world, no one could vote, so guess who got to vote? The wealthy, elite, crown first class. Nobody else. No one else could afford it. It is exactly what Canada is today, is what they've gotten rid of so long ago. It's scary. It's scary. How smart are you? Well, not very smart, because I can tell you all the Caribbean island people have gotten wise to all of this. Maybe it's because they went through it earlier in history. But they rose above it. They finally had enough. They're having enough. But yet Canada, they brag about it. You all go to work, say, oh, this is great. Can't wait to live in an apartment like Hong Kong. Oh, the house in the British hands too. How did Hong Kong become a coffin city? Oh, the British did it. They did it all the way up to just recently. They exploited all the Chinese. You ever read the Opium Wars 1 and 2? Has anyone done that yet? Holy smokes. The opiate crisis of today was created and crafted by the royal family. Hong Kong, coffin city, 4 families living in a 1-bedroom high-rise condo. 4 families share 1 bathroom. Got to time out everything. You get your little spoonful of water a day. You pay $4,000 a month to rent coffins stacked up in 1 room. 1 room chopped into 4 ways. This is your corner. You and your family are stacked up on top of each other. They even sell coffin beds. That's real. It's real. This is where the British Empire will take you. They control all the financing of all these countries. You give all your international law to them. They design your energy poverty, your food scarcity, your stresses that keep you broke. The people work hard, they build infrastructure, but then it's sold to private enterprises all through the colonial first class. Goes right through all the Commonwealth. You're all suckers. You're all being played. It starts with the savage Indian. Again, this isn't my legal speak. This is the legal speak of Canada. I will always refer to the Canadian Indian as a Canadian Indian because the 1876 Racist Genocidal Indian Act runs on today. Residential school genocide will continue forever. It will continue forever, and it's going to spread as more and more of the third class have to be put down to generate the wealth for the first class. That's our system. That's the Commonwealth. Always has been, always will be. I don't like communism, but it's better than that system, and I think people are starting to figure out the propaganda and bullshit. Communism is not responsible for all the world's problems. America and Russia go at each other steady. Who crafted that silent war against the two powers? What kind of countries build 45,000 nuclear warheads and another one builds 36,000 warheads? Who does that? Hundreds of times more than all the nations in the world put together. How did that happen? Why do Russians and Americans hate each other? It's not bots. I've been through Russians. They hate Americans. Americans hate Russians. They are perpetually against each other. But yet the Crown, who created all the problems worldwide, centrally responsible, and I'm not just saying Britain here, folks, Spain, Portugal, UK, France, list goes on, Denmark, it goes on, Japan, it goes on, guys. There's 7 of them. 7 of these horrific atrocity-driven nations, all in the same system of governance. Now, Japan is somewhat moved from that, but have they kept a lot of the crown powers, or they're still embedded in the Constitution? Is USA too far gone that their Constitution is too old to stand up to an executive abuse of power? Do you think the Founding Fathers in their wildest dreams could have ever predicted that a president would be loyal to the crown against the people of America? I don't think so. I think they thought that president would be shot and killed, hung up, strung up in the streets by the American people. I think that's what the Constitution was designed for and to do. But yet that invisible enemy has never been so strong as it is today in America. Joe Biden lets it go on. People talk about NWO and all these billionaires. It's a crown colonial system. They all wear the crown. They're the leaders of it. They're not vested by any foreign powers. They like the foreign powers. If you haven't read the history of the East India Trading Company and the Crown of England, there is your build, folks, because I've been in front of billionaires. I even had the South African director of Lush, a VP, go AWOL about the savage black. I'm not going to say the rest of it because I can't, but they went through it, that billionaire in front of all of them. You should see the mouths dropped. I nailed that billionaire to the wall. Just from Alberta and what Lush did to the oil field and the 200,000 families. I told her how my girls just loved all their products, but were ashamed when they found out what you had been doing in the regions of Africa. And boy, did she lose it. They aren't even human beings. They're animals. She said in front of everybody, lost her stuff. Now that might have fly in a billionaire's world. We should see how fast everybody came talking to me. The Billionaire Club rolls in with the crown and the royal family. They believe they're gods over all of you. This is a 950-year-old system where people talk to each other as worship, majesty, your highness, your eminence, your excellency. The list goes on the honorary, honorable, honoraries, honor titles. That's what they tell you, the public. But the crown customary law behind closed doors, honestly, folks, how long can you be called worship, your highness, your excellency, before you believe it? How many days does it take when everyone around you calls you those names? How long until you believe you are a god? Lord. That's one of them too. My Lord. How long do you hear my Lord, excellency, highness, worship? How long until you really believe you're God? I think it would take probably less than a week at work myself for the average folks. Never mind being a reigning monarch, hearing that every day of your life for 95 years. On Christmas Eve, Queen Elizabeth addresses everybody on Christmas and she says, Jesus was just a man. She's God. God talks to her in her sleep. Well, I guess. If your head's filled with your Lord, your worship, your majesty, you're probably dreaming delusions of God talking to you. You see it throughout all kinds of people. People try, oh, I'm a prophet, or I'm this, or I'm that. God talks to me, God talks to me, God talks to me. And people run to that. Oh, God talks to him. You should read your Bible if you're a Christian folk. God's barely talked to anybody. This is what people do to gain control, to gain power. It's implanted in your heads from birth. It's called institutionalization. It's rampant throughout the Commonwealth. We see the Caribbean islands waking up. We see South America waking up. Central America waking up. How long until the rest of the Commonwealth wakes up? It's very, very hard for Canada, Australia, New Zealand. The constitutional embedments are strong, strongest, the most illegal in all the world. A fly in the face of the United Nations Security Council, but yet America, Russia, China can't seem to grasp those concepts, and Britain and France sit back quietly. Of course, why would they say anything at all? They're making their money. Their financial institutions are never better. It's worked well for them for 950 years, as well as the other colonials. It's what led to World War I, World War II. Again, everybody, those countries of the crown, the colonial empires, not Russia, not China, not USA, clearly. They're all victims of it too, every single one of them. Yet, like they were victims before, they're victims today, and they fall for the propaganda. They shouldn't be fighting each other. They should be doing what they promised the world in 1945. Never again! Never again. That's what they said. But yet we have President wanting it again. Of course, we have the UK screaming out for it. Canada leading the charge. Number one of the NWO. Russia, destroy Russia. World War III. Come on, right now. We want World War III. Japan piping up today. World War III. World War III. Whoa, wait a minute here. Axis, all of a sudden that all melts and the Axis comes to light. I don't want to go back to the League of Nations style. It's bad enough in Canada. I don't want to play with pharmacare treats. Come on, working boy. We got some pharmacare for you. How about a little more health coverage? Oh, but you're going to have to work harder because nothing's really free. That's called the lying delusion. And I'll tell you, folks, that crown divine socialism, it's never worked out in the history. People only get poorer because less people work and want something for nothing, because that's human nature, and the crown laughs. They want you to be really poor. They want you with your handouts to the government, and the government slap you around, use you as free labor. They love the colonial design of mass immigration. You notice we're in mass immigration again? They can't wait forever and a day since 1876, the Indian Act of Canada. Residential school genocide will go on forever. You know why? Because they can replace you with more and more immigrants. And they can devalue that third class, starve them out, energy poverty, food scarcity, all those things you absolutely need to live and function. They will remove those from you. It's been done a million times over. Just go look at Barbados and Jamaica. Thank you. That's my video. I'm going to edit the title because it's day 3. Third story. I hope you enjoyed a little history. It's real, it's credible, verifiable. No one's going to come forward to say it's a lie because there's ample publications. Just a lot of people don't ever look at it because they've never been educated that way. It was called for again in the UN Charter 1945. You were all to be educated, but Kenneth said, no, not in the Commonwealth. No. Those people of the third class and those not even human, the savage Indian, will never learn any of this. Keep your ally propaganda in Russia, USA, and China. We don't want it here because those low-life subhumans, enslaved third class, will do what we tell them. They'll learn what we allow them to learn because history will be written by the first-class politicians. And we'll keep playing these games, recycle them in the Commonwealth over and over. They do. They do. This was already all done before. Look at Jamaica and Barbados. Look what you're going through today, Canadians. You're just exactly the same as they implemented the N-word, is what you are. Doesn't matter what color of skin. And that's what people fail. And that's the power of propaganda. They say, oh, in the Commonwealth, oh, racism, equality, and all these things. But that's not what the system perpetuates. It perpetuates class structure. So it doesn't matter if you're white, red, black, brown, yellow. If you're not the first class and you're not in that small elite upper crust, you're not sworn to the crown and your family's not in there, you are the N-word, all of you. That's how they trick you. Now, if you're a low-life degenerate of any color, And you can swear against humanity, swear to that crown, that divinity, worship a man as a god or a woman as a god, and you can live with yourself with that system. You'll do well. Doesn't matter what color you are, you will go well forward. The slaves of the slave period of the Americas will tell you the story of the house slave and the field slave. Field slave was provided no shirt, no shoes, rag pants, get to work, blisters, scrapes, beaten, flogged, whipped, slept like an animal. Excuse me. The house slave wore the nice clothes, spoke well, loved the master. That is a staple of the first class. That is a staple of the royal family. That is a staple of everything that we are designed to be. That's called the first class. If you can be that house slave who rats out the field slaves, loves the master and loves to be the best of the best, and put their divinity in the master, the love in the master, like a god, well, you can be first class too. It's sad, it's sick, it's deranged, it's depraved. But yet here we are today and we're still going through it. I hope everybody learned something. Share the video. It's important. It's credible, verifiable, and 100% truthful. You'll find many articles to back up what I'm saying, many papers to back up what I'm saying. Every day from now till June 28th, the day of genocide for children, the one day that Canada can get its justice against the first class, that's the day for all the first people. We're going to do these videos every day. There's works underway for all the chiefs. We're going to get that message out by First Peoples. Before the week's out, the emails will be out to everybody who's been selected inside our party that we're trying to form for a new federal party in government. PCC, Party of the Canadian Constitutionalists. This is only the beginning. Thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow for another video, another historical account of your country and how it relates to the rest of the world today. All on residential school genocide and the 1876 Indian Act. Thank you. Bye now.